Stop leaving money on the table. Right now, in the first 5 seconds of this video, I need you to understand something crucial. If you accept the very first offer you are handed, whether it is a job salary, a freelance contract, or even the price of a used car, you are actively choosing to work for free for a portion of your life. Think about it. If you negotiate just a $5,000 increase on your starting salary today, and you invest that difference over a 20-year career, we are not talking about a little extra grocery money. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in compound interest, all because you were willing to have a slightly uncomfortable conversation for, maybe, 5 minutes. But I get it. Negotiation is terrifying, right? We are constantly negotiating in life. We negotiate for salaries, for project deadlines, for relationships, even trying to convince our parents or friends to agree with us on where to eat dinner. Life is just one long string of trying to get people to agree to what we want, without making them hate us in the process. Look, I'm not judging you if you hate negotiating. I used to be terrible at it. Actually, let me share a deeply embarrassing story with you. A few years ago, I was interviewing for a job I really wanted. I practiced my negotiation speech in the mirror for days. I was going to ask for $80,000. I was feeling confident. But then, I sat down in the office. The hiring manager looked at me and offered $60,000. And do you know what my highly trained, confident brain decided to do? I panicked. There was a 2-second awkward silence, and I completely cracked. I blurted out, "Oh, wow, yes, thank you, that is perfectly fine." I literally negotiated against myself because I was afraid of silence. I walked out of that building realizing I had just cost myself $20,000, simply because I did not want to feel awkward. Have you ever done something like that? Seriously, I want you to pause the video right now and leave a comment below. Tell me about a time you completely folded in a negotiation or accepted a terrible deal just to avoid conflict. We have all been there. And reading your stories honestly makes me feel a lot better about my own mistakes. But you know what? That embarrassing mistake forced me to completely rebuild how I approach money and communication. So today, I am going to share 4 highly effective, straightforward negotiation tactics that will completely change how you handle these conversations. And they are completely relevant for the economy right now, in 2026. Let's dive into tactic number 1. Before you even walk into the room, you need to make a loss list. What is a loss list? It is a list of every single reason why you might lose the negotiation. This is a crucial self-awareness tactic. Most people walk into a negotiation only thinking about why they deserve to win. But if you are able to identify all the reasons why you would fail, you become mentally bulletproof. Let's say you are going to your boss for a raise, or you just got a new job offer. The company offers you $100,000, but you know you should be getting $125,000. So, you have to negotiate. Before you reply to that email or schedule that meeting, sit down with a piece of paper. Write down everything that will work against you. It could be your past salary, which was lower. It could be your years of experience. Maybe you only have 3 years and they usually require 5. It could be the fact that they know you are desperate to leave your current toxic job. It could be that you are currently unemployed and you don't have any competing offers. Whatever the harsh realities are, write them down. Then, one by one, you develop a counterargument for each point. You essentially have the argument with yourself, in your head, before it ever happens in reality. Imagine they say, "Well, your previous salary was only $75,000. Asking for $125,000 is almost a 60% jump. That is too high." Because you already wrote this down on your loss list, you don't panic, you don't stutter, you just calmly reply, "I understand that seems like a large percentage jump from my previous role, but my previous salary does not reflect current market value, nor does it reflect the elevated responsibilities of this new position. I am pricing myself based on the value I will bring to this specific role." Boom, you just neutralized their biggest weapon. because you saw it coming. You planned for your own failure, and by doing so, you guaranteed your success. All right, moving on to tactic number 2. You need to investigate the person across the table and use the power of reciprocation. Look, you are not negotiating with a faceless corporation. You are negotiating with a human being who is stressed, tired, and probably just wants to go home and watch streaming shows like the rest of us. If you know who you are negotiating with, you need to dig them up. And I mean, ethically stalk them on social media. Check their LinkedIn, their Twitter, or whatever platform they use professionally. What kind of things do they care about? What specific vocabulary do they use? Do they constantly post about optimizing workflows? Do they use phrases like data-driven results or synergy? Here is why this matters. There is a powerful psychological trigger called reciprocation or mirroring. It means that when you use the exact same words and phrases that the other person naturally uses, you instantly lower their defensive guard. It is a subconscious signal that says, "Hey, I am just like you. We speak the same language." Let's say you discover that the hiring manager, let's call him David, is obsessed with the phrase long-term scalability. During your salary negotiation, instead of just saying, "I want more money because I work hard," you say something like, "David, I am really looking for a compensation package that reflects my ability to help this department achieve long-term scalability." Without David even consciously realizing it, he will like you more. He will feel like you truly understand the vision. He will feel respected. And when a negotiator feels respected and aligned with you, they become significantly easier to work with. They transition from an opponent into an advocate. Now, let's talk about tactic number 3. You must anchor your requests in undeniable reality. You need hard data. Let's go back to that scenario where you were offered $100,000, but you want $125,000. Why are you asking for that extra $25,000? Is it because you want to buy a new car? Is it because inflation is annoying? Or, worst of all, is it because your 3 buddies from college are making $125,000? Listen to me very carefully. The company does not care. Your desires, your bills, and your friends' salaries are entirely irrelevant to the person controlling the budget. If you walk in there and base your negotiation on your personal wishes, you will lose. Using your friends as a benchmark is just confirmation bias. You are cherry-picking data that suits your narrative. To win, you have to reach a point where you are using the exact same kind of market data that the company uses. How did they land on that $100,000 offer in the first place? They likely looked at salary bands, competitor data, and current market trends. You need to do the exact same thing. Go to the market. Dig through verified salary databases. Look at comprehensive industry reports for 2026. Make a list of professionals with your exact experience level, in your exact city, working in similar roles. When you sit down at the table, your script changes. You don't say, "I feel like I deserve more." You say, "I appreciate the offer of $100,000. However, based on recent market data for this specific region, the median compensation for a role with these deliverables is closer to $125,000. Given my track record of exceeding targets, I believe matching this market rate is appropriate." Do you see the difference? It is no longer about them giving up something to make you happy. It is about you presenting objective facts. You are removing emotion and replacing it with logic. When you do this, they have to argue with the data, not with you. And it is much harder to argue with a spreadsheet than it is to argue with an opinion. Finally, tactic number 4, the ultimate secret to getting what you want, is aiming for a true win-win scenario. I know, win-win sounds like a cheesy corporate buzzword, but let me double-click on this and explain what it actually means in practice. A win-win does not mean compromising until you are both mildly unhappy. A win-win means the other person walks away feeling like they got exactly what they needed, while you get exactly what you wanted. If you treat negotiation like a battle where you have to crush the other person, you will ruin the relationship. If you bleed them dry and force them to overpay, they are going to resent you. They will expect you to work 80-hour weeks to justify the cost, and they will be looking for a reason to replace you. That is a toxic, unhealthy dynamic. The secret to a real win-win is to entirely shift your perspective. Stop thinking about what you want and start obsessing over what they need. Let's say you present your data. You prove that you are worth $125,000, but the hiring manager looks at you and says, "I agree with your data. You are worth it, but my budget is strictly capped at $100,000. I literally cannot give you more base salary." Amateur negotiators will get frustrated and walk away, but a master negotiator looks for the expanded pie. You think from their perspective. They have a strict base salary budget, but they desperately need a top performer to hit their end-of-year goals. So, you pivot, you say, "I understand your hands are tied on the base salary budget. How about this? We keep the base at $100,000, but can we write a performance bonus into the contract? If I hit X, Y, and Z targets by the end of the year, which directly increases the company's revenue, I receive a $25,000 bonus. This protects your upfront cash flow, and it aligns my compensation with your growth goals." Do you see what just happened? You just solved their problem. You eliminated their financial risk, because they only pay you the extra money if you actually generate results for them. You helped them optimize their budget, and you still created a path to get your $125,000. That is a win-win. Or, what if they can't offer bonuses? Negotiate other variables. Ask for an extra week of paid time off. Ask for a guaranteed remote work schedule to save on commuting costs. Ask for a dedicated professional development budget so they pay for your continuous education. Negotiation is never just about the bottom line number. It is about uncovering the underlying motivations of the person across from you and creatively structuring a deal where everybody feels like a champion. So, let's quickly recap these 4 life-changing steps. First, build your loss list so you are never caught off guard by your own weaknesses. Second, research your counterpart and mirror their language to build subconscious trust. Third, drop the emotional arguments and back up your requests with cold, hard market data. And fourth, abandon the zero-sum mindset. Think from their perspective and structure deals where your success directly contributes to their success. If you start applying these 4 tactics today, you won't just make more money, you will build better relationships. You will earn more respect from your peers, and you will never again have to drive home kicking yourself for accepting a bad deal just to avoid an awkward silence. You have the tools now, the data is on your side. Step up to the table and ask for what you are actually worth.